Welcome to Hood Champion Boxing and Sports. In boxing, you find a way to win, or you find a way to lose. The world is mine, is what Ennis is saying, and what Xander Zayas is saying. And I'm telling you, man, I don't know who wins. I'm kind of siding with Ennis, but the more I watch videos of Xander Zayas training and the more I watch his fights, the more I'm saying this man has a really good chance, man, to come out here and upset the apple cart. Now, just check this out. Video of Xander Zayas working and looking sharp, and then the video of Ennis looking to be in great shape. I'll be honest with you. I don't know how Xander Zayas gets down to 154 pounds. How he does it, I have no idea. But I tell you what, man, he's looking good. He's looking sharp. Now, you come and you see Ennis. Now, he's got other videos out, but this just shows you what shocked me here. Just watch this, what Ennis does. Really impressed me. Right here, look at Ennis climbing that rope.
Nope, no slide there. Don't slide.
Now, anyone who's ever worked out or done that rope climb, you know how difficult that is to do without using your legs. And then for him to go up, then come back down, then go back up, and do multiple sets of that is very impressive. And that's when he first started training camp. That's not how he looks now. Ennis looks like an absolute beast right now. But so does Xander Zayas. But this is the thing. Everybody has an opinion. You know what I'm saying? That's what I say, man. The world, they both feel like the world is mine and we're entering the danger zone. We're not quite 30 days out, but we're getting really close to it, right? And this showdown between Xander Zayas and Ennis has the boxing world split. You know, I'm listening to people talking about who walks away victorious, what each fighter needs to do. People talking about who sparred who sparred Zayas, and giving their opinions. And I'm surprised. People are really split. You know what I'm saying? This is one of those rare fights where both outcomes feel believable, man. I do feel Zayas can win. I feel Ennis can win. I wouldn't be surprised if Zayas won. I wouldn't be surprised if Ennis won. You know what I'm saying? Because of just the talent there for both of these guys. But I do understand, and I understand the argument about Ennis being too complete, too explosive, too athletic, too experienced. You know, I understand that. Because when you watch fight, in every fight, he dominates. Now, of course, he's at 147. Look, standing units was the standout fight that he had and became a champion. But there's always seemed to be a comma, however, when it comes to Ennis. 154, fought Luis Malima, comma, however, who's Luis Malima? Xander Zayas, man, people are trying to apply that same comma, however, to Xander Zayas, but the guy's a young fella, unified champion. He fought and earned those titles. He did the business. So I just feel Xander Zayas could be arriving at the exact right time to get the biggest win of his career. He's young, mentally fearless, because he didn't have to take this Ennis fight. You know what I'm saying? But he's mentally fearless, technically polished, and carrying the momentum of boxing's next potential superstar, especially for Puerto Rico, man. Now, I'll tell you what makes this fight more dangerous is they both are under pressure. A lot of pressure attached to both men. Neither one of them can afford to look ordinary. Even if Ennis won, it goes to a decision. But he looks ordinary, people are going to say, okay, he won, congrats, but he's not the next Crawford. He definitely isn't Roy Jones Jr. He's not the next guy to take the sport of boxing into the next decade. That's what they're going to say. He don't have another 3, 4, 5 years on him. He ain't that guy. He ain't going to never become the face of boxing. So both of them have pressure on them, and they both need, I think, to make statements. And Xander Zayas needs a statement win, too, if he wants to continue being seen as a future pound-for-pound fighter, and also one of the next big faces of Puerto Rican boxing. Now, let me get some water. Neither fighter can look ordinary, but fans are split on the winner, and I can understand. It's a huge debate, and it's becoming nonstop online. I know people like, damn, Hood, you haven't been talking about these guys much. You talk a lot about Clarissa Shields. Yeah, true, but I still do my boxing roll-ups because there's just so much going on. It's hard to just sit down here and do it before, like I was doing 10 videos a day on different fighters. I just don't have the time. So I do them in roll-ups, but I'm taking time out to talk about these two and also Jaya Patai and David Benavidez. Because all fights are special, but these are special fights. And Conor Ben and Ryan Garcia, I'm going to do a bunch of videos on those guys as well. But the debate is becoming nonstop. You know what I mean? This is the moment where Ennis can finally prove he's everything the hardcore fans have been saying, man, for years. There are people who will come into the chat, come into the comments, boy, and they will go off if you're not saying what they think you should be saying about Jerome Boots Ennis. You see, the supporters of Boots, they believe this is the moment where he finally proves he's everything, man. He's an elite talent, pound-for-pound potential, complete offensive arsenal, switch hitting ability, athletic dominance, and he's got the killer instinct. And they're like, you're going to see it. And if he does what they know he can do, he's going to be up and away. At the same time, many fans still feel that Ennis, he hasn't received full respect because they believe the biggest names avoid him during his rise. And I'll tell you what, I do believe there are fighters who avoid him. If only the fly in the wall could talk. Eddie Hearn touches on it. Boots touches on it. Boots isn't a guy that want to really come out here and say much. But I do believe people offered fights and they said no, and they probably want money that's just, it's an unrealistic demand. But I'll just tell you this. In the eyes of many Boots supporters, if you can defeat a young, hype fighter like Zayas on the huge stage like what it's going to be, it finally validates everything. So to the Ennis supporters, the fight's about confirmation. And I'll tell you what, if he does the business, especially if he dominates and destroys Zayas, shit, it may become even more difficult for him to make fights. Only one I know for a fact who will fight him, no problem, is Sebastian Fundora. I know Fundora will fight him, no problem. Now, that being said, what about Xander Zayas? He got a lot of supporters too. Like I said, this shit is split 50-50. This fight's created big-time divide. It ain't a Puerto Rico versus America thing, and I know Puerto Ricans say, oh, Puerto Ricans are Americans. Y'all know what I mean. Don't get caught up in that stupid bullshit. But this ain't a Puerto Rico versus the goddamn American thing. This ain't a black versus Puerto Rican thing. There are Puerto Ricans who think Boots is going to win. There are black people who think Xander Zayas is going to win. It's just boxing. You know what I'm saying? But is Xander Zayas one of the most dangerous fighters in boxing? Many believe that Jerome Boots Ennis is, but they believe Xander Zayas could be the sport's next big crossover star. And if he beats Ennis, his popularity is going to explode overnight. Overnight, man. Just like when Tony Harrison, when he beat Jamel Charlo, although I didn't think he beat him, but he got the win, everybody was talking about it. Many people felt he outboxed him, but a lot of us didn't feel he deserved that win, but he got it. But the bottom line is, you ask why. Why would they be talking about Xander Zayas if he beats Ennis? Well, because of Ennis being viewed as one of the most dangerous fighters right now. You know what I'm saying? So it wouldn't just be a win. It would be, I think it would instantly transform Zayas into a generational figure in the eyes of many fans. And the Puerto Ricans are going to go crazy. They're going to go crazy, man. Big-ass parade for him. It's going to be bonkers out there, man. But, stylistically, when I watch Zayas fights, I look at the traits. I look at what he has. I'm like, does he have what it takes to beat Ennis? And I'm like, you know what he does? He's patient. He's not going to come towards Ennis necessarily. He got the IQ, he got timing, he's big, he's long, he got maturity, and he has composure under pressure. You know, he has a lot of really good qualities, man. And I think a lot of people believe that Zayas mentally has what it takes to stay at this elite level. And the confidence matters in a fight this dangerous. You know what I'm saying? Zayas does not seem to be bothered by anything going on with Jerron Boots Ennis, what he's done in the past, what he's doing presently, what his plans are for the future. Zayas is looking at himself and what he needs to do and knowing what his strengths are. It's like Kobe Bryant. He used to play basketball. May he rest in peace. Kobe knew his spots on that floor. Why do you think he was so successful? Kobe wasn't just out there, man, just doing a bunch of random shit. He knew what his spots were. If I get to that spot, I'm making it. You know, he knew whether he's doing a pump fake, step jab, whatever. He knew exactly what he needed to do, the least amount of steps to get to his spots and score, get to that rim. And he just repeated that, and he dominated. And Kobe could do a whole lot. And I think that's the thing with Xander Zayas, you know what I'm saying? But this fight could change the entire division. Now, when you talk about this fight and the division at 154 pounds, this right here is the division. All right, let me fix this. Let me bring this down a little bit. Virgil Ortiz is still ranked number one. Why? Who knows what's going on with Virgil Ortiz? Then Fundora, Zayas, Madrimov, and Ennis. You see what I'm saying? These guys are right at the top. Then you got Kelly. Now, what makes this interesting is you come down, you see who the champions are. Skip this. Xander Zayas is the WBO strap and the WBA. So if Ennis beats him, he picks up those two titles. Then you got Josh Kelly with the IBF, Sebastian Fundora with the WBC. Now, if for Josh Kelly, it looked like he had a fight planned to fight Agyarko. I probably mispronounced his name. I apologize, but he looks like he has a fight coming up. So the winner of Zayas and Ennis, I don't know if Josh Kelly is a realistic option. And Fundora has nothing going on. So that could be an option. But at the end of the day, when I take a look at these guys who are, let me skip this bullshit. It keeps popping up. Okay. I'm just looking at who's ranked number one. Yo, these pop-up ads are crazy. For the WBO. You look at Brandon Adams. So the winner of Zayas and Boots may have to fight Brandon Adams. Then you come down and take a look at the WBA. You got this guy Pavel Sosulin. So they could either have to fight. They could have to fight him. So it depends on who the WBA and WBO, who the mandatories are going to be, and which mandatory gets precedence to go and challenge. That's going to determine who fights the winner of Zayas and Boots. Unless they get paid some step-aside money, they're going to make a unification with either Kelly or Fundora. But the bottom line is, you know, these guys are one step closer to becoming undisputed. And it's a matter of, the question is a matter of, you know, whether they can or cannot. But it's just a lot of uncertainty surrounding the division afterward. Because I'll be honest with you, you know, depending on what happens, I'll just tell you, any of them can lose. I think Jerron is that guy, but if he loses, that means anybody can lose up there. But I'd have to favor Sebastian Fundora if Jerron loses. I'll be honest with you. I just think Fundora can make any fight easy if he stays behind that reach. Man got like an 82-inch reach, man. 6'6" at 154 pounds. Anybody he fights it's gonna be a nightmare for him. You know what I'm saying? But don't get me wrong, fans want unification fights immediately. But the boxing politics and sanctioning bodies complicate everything. Just again, Fundora, the WBC title, maybe they can work something out with him, I don't know. Josh Kelly could be fighting this guy. I don't know who he's fighting. Denzel Bentley, Agyarko. I don't know what he's doing. But we just have to wait and see what happens. But again, the uncertainty creates a huge question. Will the winner immediately enter unification, or is it going to be the mandatory obligations that delay and derail everything? You know, and fans are already frustrated because everybody wanted to see Ennis and Virgil Ortiz. So they're like, yo, at least give us, whoever wins this, they're going to a unification. So if they don't get that, I'll be even more pissed off. But I'll tell you what, if Zayas wins, boxing changes overnight. Because right now the talk is Ennis. There's so much talk about Ennis. They're like Ennis and Crawford. Ennis would have beat Crawford. Crawford retired. And they're still asking Crawford about Ennis and still asking Ennis about Crawford. And we all know, who Crawford is and what he was to the sport of boxing. But if Xander Zayas beats Ennis, shit changes overnight. You know what I mean? That shit would be viewed as a massive win and a massive upset. And he'd be elevated to another stratosphere, which is what he would deserve. You know what I mean? So this whole thing about future pound-for-pound potential, superstardom, the Puerto Rican boxing legacy, major pay-per-view future, I mean, it's all real, man. And possibly multi-division greatness because, I mean, him at 154, you can see he could be at 160 or 168. Xander Zayas is a big dude, man, eating that arroz con pollo and shit. And them pinchos and them maripa and all that shit. He a big dude, man. But defeating Boots, again, be one of the most important wins by a young fighter in years. In years, man. And Zayas has the charisma, confidence, youth. He got the strong fan support. He got the momentum, and the momentum afterward would be enormous. It'd be kind of like when Edgar Berlanga lost to Canelo, took it to the stupid. But I mean, the celebration was crazy, and he lost, and the celebration was crazy. But if Ennis wins, I don't know if there'll be a celebration, but he'll get his respect. He'll finally get his respect, you know what I mean? And I think for Ennis, this shit is deeply personal. That's why I think Ennis has more of a chip on his shoulder. You know what I mean? Fans, the conversation has always been, he passes the eye test, he's avoided, he seems to be the future, but, he hasn't really, been in a true test. And everyone feels this is the fight that's going to give him that true test, you know what I'm saying? But without universal acknowledgement, it's frustrating because the reality is he lacks that signature win. This is going to be it for Jerron. But I'll just tell you this, if he dominates or stops Zayas, that conversation going to change. It ain't going to change. That's just going to stop. They're going to stop talking that craziness. Even me, I'll shut up. Because there'll be no more potential, no more what-ifs, no more waiting. You know what I mean? We'll all be like, Jerron is that guy. And then what's going to happen is you're going to start demanding unifications, pound-for-pound placement, major superstar matchups immediately, which is what Jerron wants. But I do believe it's not his doing, it's the opponent's doing where they don't want to fight him. But a strong performance could completely reshape his public perception overnight. You know what I'm saying? So in these final 30 days, I wonder, it's like, what should they be focusing on? So I did a little research, and I'll tell you this. For Ennis, the biggest danger may actually be emotional impatience. A lot of explosive fighters like Jerron fall into the trap of wanting to prove dominance too quickly once the hype becomes massive and getting there and look to hurt the opponents and try to knock them out quickly. These last 30 days, I think for me, Jerron, work on discipline, work on his pacing, controlled aggression, strategic sharpness, setting traps, capitalizing. I don't think he can approach Zayas the way he did Luis Malima. Just reckless, trying to make a statement immediately. I just don't think that's the direction he can afford to go. So I think bad things happen. Zayas is too composed, technically smart for careless mistakes. Also, Ennis needs to focus heavily on defensive responsibility, jab consistency, bodywork, ring control. If he can slowly break Zayas down, mentally, physically, you'll notice it in the fight. You'll immediately be able to tell Zayas he's uncomfortable in there. But I tell you what, the athletic advantage may eventually take over late with Jerron Boots Ennis. But I'm going to be watching the fight to watch the body language. That's going to communicate to me everything I need to know as far as who's comfortable in there and who's not. Now, as far as Xander Zayas, I just think it's all about psychological calm. If he can just sit here and just chill, he'll be all right. This right here is the biggest moment of his career. Don't burn energy emotionally before the fight even airs. Don't do that. You got to stay relaxed, mentally centered, strategically patient. Listen to your team. Don't be in the fighting emotionally trying to prove toughness against Ennis. You may have some success, but you may not. It's just a gamble that he can't afford. The whole thing will be dangerous. But he should focus on timing the counters, controlling the distance, disrupting the rhythm, disciplined footwork, and forcing Ennis to think. Many fans believe Zayas' best chance comes from turning this into a thinking field and a thinking fight instead of just raw athletic war. If it goes into a raw athletic war, they feel Ennis wins. So once Ennis becomes comfortable and starts flowing offensively, shit becomes terrifying, and Zayas can't let Ennis become comfortable in there. So the pressure's on both fighters, and it is huge, man. It is, and that's what makes the whole matchup special to me. Both men are carrying career-altering pressure. For Ennis, he just got to prove real. The hype about me was real. I'm the real deal, and the hype about Zayas, shit was a joke. And Zayas just got to prove to everyone, all right, the hype around me was real, and the future has arrived. And at the end of the day, only one man leads with the momentum powerful enough to potentially control the division for years. But Sebastian Fundora is a problem. I'll just leave it as that. They still got to see Sebastian Fundora, because Fundora, that dude is a tough outing for anybody. But as far as depending on who wins, what could be next for the winner, I think you're like fighting a Fundora, fighting a Kelly, full unification path. Nothing other than that. Like, that's the direction it needs to go. But reality, shit can become messy, you know what I'm saying? Sanctioning bodies getting involved, politics, delayed negotiations. So whoever wins this fight immediately becomes one of boxing's most important names overnight. And if the performance is spectacular, the winner may become one of the faces of boxing itself, and the world will be theirs. And it says easy work. Zayas says I'll shock the world. Crawford says I'll whip both of them. Turkey out, she's like, I'll convince you to come back to boxing. And I'm saying, man, I don't know who wins this shit. Because I'll be honest with you, I think Boots gets him, but I don't know. Zayas can scrap, man. But June 27th can't get hit fast enough. Y'all keep cool, I'm in the breeze.